if I have to say. Hi Vishnu, how are you?
Hey man, how are you? Been a while.
Yeah, yeah. Did you catch the Durand Cup?
Uh, just a minute, okay? I'll.
One second, guys. So I'm just going to recap what happened. Right, we had the Durand Cup this this week. Mohan Bagan won it in a very intense final. It was a foul-natured final, first to call it that. It was a Kolkata Derby, the second of the Durand Cup, and this time the result was opposite, right? And apart from that, we have 1 year of hashtag Kalji, right? They've already patted themselves on the back for it, so we will be obviously doing the dissection, right? And on top of that, Manolo Marquez lost his shit again. But I love it. I think the guy brings honesty to Indian football. So we're also not, and it's not like he had some complaints which were out of the blue, right? There were legitimate questions, right? So we're going to discuss all of this, right? So, but we'll start with the Durand Cup. Vishy, did you watch the Durand Cup?
I saw some matches, yes, not completely, I must admit, but yeah, I did watch some matches here and there.
Okay.
What did you think
Fine.
of the tournament? Because I think a big disappointment for me personally was that Bengaluru FC did not really chose to take it seriously, and when the defending champions do that, that kind of takes a bit of the tournament.
Hmm. I mean, I kind of expected that they won't take it seriously. Honestly, I mean, I'd never expected them to take it seriously. Also, and for to tell you the truth, that uh, a lot of criticism has come the organizers' way, right? So, as long as the tournament isn't completely professional, right? So this will be a case. There will be teams sending their second choice squads. So I'm not really surprised.
That is true, but then you have to keep in mind that if it weren't for their Durand Cup victory last year, I don't think Grayson would have. I don't think he would have lasted the
Hmm.
season. That thing kept him alive through the bad patch. So I did expect them to take it a bit more seriously, maybe. But
Hmm.
then at the same time, there were plenty of teams who did take it seriously. So
Hmm. Right, and that's true. A lot of teams did take it seriously, and a couple of teams benefited from it because they had poor seasons last year, and they kind of assuage their fans with, let's say, a good campaign. One was East Bengal. Obviously, East Bengal had not won the derby in 8 attempts, so they finally did, and I think that is huge for Carles and Co. Right. Also, I think I'm going to touch more upon Carles in the in the upcoming few minutes, but one more, Northeast United, right? So the BFC old boys seem to have had a decent tournament, right? Mandar at Northeast, and then you had Carles. So on Carles, right? And you watched Carles at Kantirawa, right? So I still feel that he lacks a lot of ideas on the ball, but I feel like there is some amount of input from Dimas, right? So, for example, when Carlos left BFC, right, and it kind of felt like there was a lack of ideas, right? They were more of set piece FC. I know they won the ISL under him and all, and it's kind of uncharitable to call them set piece FC, but I mean, you have to admit that that season, a lot of goals came via that route, right? So and we're happy to get fans' opinions also on this, because BFC fans, a lot of people watch our show, so uh, we definitely want to know from you guys, right? But just asking you, Vishnu, what did you feel of Carles as a coach?
I think obviously what you said is true. Towards the end of his reign at BFC, he did look a little bit short of ideas. But
Mm,
at the same time, I think if you look at the BFC coaches so far, I
mm,
think the BFC fan base, a very educated fan base in that sense, they
mm,
still hold him in the highest regard. That's what I.
mm,
Carlos is one of their favorite BFC coaches. So
mm,
I think that is more of a measure of his entire reign than what happened towards the end of it. As you said,
mm,
he was successful. He won titles.
mm,
Towards the end, yes, it looked like I don't know that people had figured him out. That's the kind of feeling that I got, that people had figured his team out. So it was becoming more and more difficult for them in that sense.
mm,
But overall, there's no question that he's a good coach. There's no question that he's a good tactician. I don't know about him as a coach improving players, but him as a tactician, there's no question about that. He has taken some weird decisions, played certain players out of position here and there. But as a tactician, I don't think there is anything that he has done in his career that we can say, okay, look, this guy is not that good.
right. So and it's probably too early to say this. And East Bengal did well, but I will still predict that Uh, I mean, and I don't want to say this about a team going into the new season, right? It should always be full of optimism. I still don't think they're quite there yet in terms of challenging for top honors, right? But what Carles showed is that he'll bring doggedness to the team, right? That's number one. There are still quite a few problems. There's cover, there's problems in depth, right? Beyond the first 11, it's still uh, very much hit and miss, and that's obviously a concern because I mean, when you've had the kind of seasons that they've had, I mean, there's a it's becomes difficult to attract newer players, right? For example, at Goa, and we'll come to Goa next. uh, at Goa, it's being said that it's easier to attract players now because they're just throwing the name Manolo, and it's just so easy to do that, right? So I'm gonna go and what I saw of Goa, right? They are going to trouble the big guns this season, right? They gave it their best shot against Mohun Bagan. They came up short, yes, but I feel like the Manolo effect is already there. The problem is an old problem. uh and I mean, Jingan had a okayish tournament, had a disastrous own goal, and also had a hand to play in the Petratos goal that eventually knocked them out in the semi-final, right? uh is he still going to be as good as he was? That's a major question, right? And that both him and Udanta, because they've gone for broke this season. They've gone Udanta, they've gone Raulin Borges, they've gone Jing, and that's like three players with more than 100 international caps between them, right? So that's a lot of investment, right? So they've gone for broke. This is the Hail Mary season. They either do it or they don't, right? And then they might have some decisions taken at the topmost level. But uh, I mean, for me, right? And I don't know, and you can add this, Vishnu. I think I think Manolo's already showing signs that he will definitely make the playoffs this year and maybe beyond.
I think I definitely agree with that. Again, I'm not convinced by. I think Udanda is a very good addition, but I'm not exactly convinced by Jinkan because even if you look at last season BFC, around that period when they were winning non-stop, Jinkan wasn't exactly the first name on the team sheet for them then. So it was. Kind of worth noting that even BFC weren't fully trusting him last season. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of it's evident that he's undergone a decline. What needs to be seen is
Mhm.
how much of a decline has he undergone? Is he still
Yeah.
capable of doing it at least to a similar standard that he was performing at maybe a couple of years ago? So that is a
Yeah.
question. And I think you made a very interesting point about East Bengal because regardless of the run to the final, I think the feeling that I got in pretty much all the matches I saw of them was that they were not exactly convincing, in the sense there was no point
Yeah.
where you could just look at it and say, okay, yeah, is
Hmm.
Bengal are gonna blow these guys away. No,
Hmm.
you had that with Goa, you had that with Bhagat,
Hmm.
but you had that with Mumbai, but you didn't have that with East Bengal. So I think it
Yeah.
was a combination of this the ruggedness that Carlos brought, that
Hmm.
determination that they showed,
Uh,
and Nanda having like a great tournament out of nowhere. Nobody saw that coming. So I think it was a whether, as we've seen many times, players
hmm.
like Nanda, they have patches where they're like amazing, but whether they can sustain it over an entire season, he's not
Hmm.
done it all in his career so far. I hope to God that he's able to do it, because that'd be great for Indian football. But
Hmm.
again, a lot of things will have to fall in place if East Bengal are going to challenge for top honors this season.
And obviously, Nanda Kumar is a player that you know very well. I mean, there are few players that you know, Vishy, and that you've covered. I think Nanda is definitely, you've seen Nanda from the start. So, like I said, I mean, I hope also that Nanda kicks on, and Nanda has. I'm just going to flash Chennai lads, and I agree 100%. Roka essentially built a machine, right? That team, and Des Buckingham's Mumbai team and Lobera's Goa team were probably winners without winning the actual title, right? Because those were runaway teams, right? And Roka's team, I looked at the stats, I crunched not just the surface level stats that you show see on TV. You go beyond them, right? In something essentially like uh, passing networks and all of that, they were too good for their time. Like Albert Roca's team were far ahead, right? They just they just raced that season. They just they raised the bar that season, right? But what happened is they fell at the final hurdle, whatever, right? Um, and you are right, Chennai lad, when you say that Carles did not build a team of his own. He inherited a machine, and he kind of took them to a title, although not in as convincing a fashion as Roca romped to the day. If you remember, it was Lobera who won the Shield that year, right? So good, and so we'll come, and we need more questions from you guys, right? We'll get you guys questions. Kumar Reddy has I don't think Udanta will regain the form in which he has started here. Udanta quality is nowhere near initial. Agree, Kumar Reddy. I mean, very sad to say this, but yeah, I mean, Vishay is probably Udanta going the Thoising route, and I just remember Thoising because I saw Thoising had signed for Neroka, and I'm like, holy crap, Thoising still playing, right? So yeah.
I don't think. I mean, when you say Thousand, it brings to mind a very sharp decline that happened over a couple of seasons. Like,
Hmm.
if he was at say seven in one season, the pretty much I remember for Chennai, the
Hmm.
by the end of the next season, he was probably at a three or a four, so maybe even less. So I don't think it's going to be. See, obviously, Udanta's main thing is pace. A lot of his game is about how fast he is, and he is going to lose it as he goes forward. Well, that comes with age, and a lot of great players, they get smarter when they lose their physical attributes. But it remains to be seen if Udanta can do that. I don't really think so. And yeah, I mean, it's not about being as effective as he was a few years ago. It's about when you reach a certain age, it's about uh, managing your decline in a sense. Like it's about not doing what Toy did, from going from 7 to 3 in a single season. So I think in that sense, Udandas can still do a job, and Udanda can still play a role. And
Yeah.
I don't expect him to. Now that you brought up Toysing, I don't expect him to have that kind of a decline, that
Yeah.
drastic, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say this about my former employers, but I think they're a bit desperate this season, and it kind of, oh my god, it's pressure time. It's pressure time at Goa, and I feel my friend Ravi Teja Poskur might be feeling like, and I've seen him. I've seen him. The guy is one of the sharpest brains in Indian football, and that's why he's created such a good system there, right? We always say what a great run club that is, but we've never seen this from them. We've never seen them go absolutely ballistic in the market like they have this season, right? So something's changed, and I think there is a crazy amount of hunger at the club this year. So let's see, man. Let's see. I mean, and like I said, I feel they got the number one product that the league had to offer, Manolo Marquez. They did, right? And but did they get all the pieces of the puzzle? That's something we'll wait. Also, we'll take a lot of comments, right? Because we are. So I'm again one subject, that you're very familiar with, Vishay. Rohit Ramesh, right? Rohit Ramesh. It's not quite Venky's buying Blackburn, right? But Rohit Ramesh bought something, a club in Angkor Wat, right? Interesting to note that Angkor Tiger is the only club in that region, right? There is a report of uh, that direct flights might start to the region starting, as early as 2024. That's very good news for the club and Indians because Angkor Wat is the world's largest temple and all of that, and and I we know that tourism and football, people have tried that combo before, right? So Hussein's question but is very 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 clear. He's saying, how does this augur for Indian football beyond just exchange of players, beyond just players going there? And my understanding of the Cambodian league is it's close to I League or lower I League level. uh we should see the integration. How does it work?
I think more than integration, I see the move as a sad state of a reflection of the sad state of Indian football right now, in the sense how it is run. Because personally, I know Rohit very well. I've known him for many years, and I don't. I'm not speaking for him, or I'm not. I have no clue what is going on in his mind right now. But he's always been somebody who's been really interested about investing in football, and I know that he had investing in Indian football only gave him headaches. He did a lot of good things. I mean, what he did with Chennai City was amazing, in the sense he took them from what was essentially CFA division club to I League champions, and he did that with homegrown players that Chennai City team went around and scouted from all parts of Tamil Nadu. So what he did was incredible for both Indian football and Tamil Nadu football. A lot of the players, Nanda, Susai, all these guys that we are talking about right now, they were bought in by Rohit. So that is there. And but then the thing is, towards the end, both hosting matches in Chennai, and then he got into the association. That became a bigger headache. So I always think of this as somebody who's tried his best to invest, put money into Indian football and make it work, and finally understood that this is not going to work and this is not worth the headache. It reminds, I don't want to use the term, but it's one of those owners who've been driven away from Indian football, and now
Yeah.
he's seemingly found a better ecosystem where the only thing they don't have is sponsors and people who are willing to put
Mm.
money into it, but they have the people with the right mentality and the people who are willing to cooperate. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's integration with Indian football. I'm not sure. Maybe loans or something that can happen. Yes,
Mm.
a player transfer, maybe academy transfer. Kids can go train over there. But primarily, this is about his interest in. He has a kind of a vision for Asian football, the broadcasting, and how to take leagues from here and broadcast it over there, gain popularity over there. So it's a huge
Yeah.
untapped area, and he's trying to tap it. So immediate
Yeah.
integration for Indian football, I'm not so sure, but in the
Mhm.
long term, yeah, there might be something. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, just to add to this, Rohit also has a stake in Sportscast, right? And that was clear, like, and like you said, Vishu, there's a huge untapped market which he's trying to essentially capture.
Right.
It makes sense because it's generally been ignored. The Sportscast also did a few games of the C games, and that had huge. I mean, we know for having traveled there, Indonesia, Thailand, these places are crazy about football, right? I've been to Vietnam, right? I've seen like 10,000 people turn up for dead rubbers. Like it's crazy.
And
So
it's not just
the,
crazy about football, it's how well the clubs are managed. Because I remember 2019 Kings Cup, I think Steve Match's first tournament in charge. I was there in Thailand, and they were hosting it at the Buriram Stadium. And the Buriram
hmm,
Stadium, if someone were to place that thing in England, you could easily pass it off as a Premier League stadium. They have like an integrated club shop.
yeah, yeah,
The fans
yeah,
are
yeah.
all come to the you're talking about 30-40,000 fans every a game coming in. They all buy the
Hmm,
license jersey. They figured out how to sell merchandise to the fan. The experience, the way they are organized, it's all light years ahead of India, I would say, to be honest. Even with the ISL, I
yeah,
mean, so
yeah,
it's not just that. It's not just that these are untapped areas. These are untapped areas where a lot of things are being done right even now. So I think that makes it all the more lucrative, because you're going into an area where there is much less player value, and all other value is not overinflated as it is in India. You're going to a place where a lot of things that are being done wrong in India are being right there. And it is a tremendous opportunity for sure. So
yeah. And the best part is they have not overvalued their football
that's the biggest
beyond
thing. Yeah.
what their intrinsic value is, right? Guys, I'm going to be very serious, and we mentioned this, right? Indian salaries, local player salaries are probably 30th in the world, right? 30th or top 30 in the world. Please look at the quality of our national team and see if it fits at all. um I spoke to a couple of foreigners, because I was watching Hanoi FC versus sorry, I forgot the team's name. Both great teams, right? I was speaking to a foreigner, and it was Serbian, and I kind of asked him what ballpark figures, and I was shocked. I was shocked to to understand what Vietnamese local players were making, and what foreigners making, and I can tell you this is substantially lesser than what some reserves, Indian reserves sitting on ISL benches are making, right? It's no longer this thing, to see a player play, let's say, 400 minutes a season in Indian football but still earn like 60-80 lakhs. It's not an exception anymore. I mean, and we were both at the draft of season 4, and we remember there were only two players who were more than 1 CR. There was Anas Edethodika, he was one, and the other one was, I believe it was Subrata Pal, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's crazy. Like you said, right? Hit the nail on the spot. They're growing at a sustainable pace, which makes sense,
Right.
right? Cambodia hasn't invested a lot in making huge ass broadcast deals or whatever, right? And so, yeah, I mean, excellent. Like I said, very good. I mean, for people who may not have had insights into this, great. Just going to take a few comments. Mumbai blazed them both away. Unfortunately, the Waves, we won't know what Dez's bomb. We can't have that competition between Dez's Bombay and Lobera's Goa and Roka's BFC. We never see that because we won't have that matchup. But I'm kind of tempted to agree with you on this, on this bit. Yeah. Uh, Roka also, Darshan says Roka also improved the team over a long period. The ISL season came after finishing fourth. I like agreed. Vishy, it came after the failed Daniel Alimpuya experiment, and great, kudos to Roka. He tried to play with an Indian
But
striker,
just to
and who,
refresh my memory, wasn't that also the season where they went up to the final of the FC Cup? I'm not sure. I remember it being that
yeah,
season.
yeah, yeah. So essentially, Alvaro Rubio came, and Alvaro Rubio was a great. great piece of puzzle because he was only there for 3 months. They had excellent run, right? They just shot in the final to Air Force Club. But then once the I League season started, they fell off, right? That's why I said Rubio was only there for 3 months, but my God, what a player, right? What a player. At 38, to play all of those matches, he played the whole match, right? All of the matches. I mean, crazy, right? So anyway, I mean, great to just reminisce. uh Wasim Arafat says Northeast United FC look like a team to finish top six. I wouldn't make that bet yet because, like we said, many of the teams did not take the Durand Cup that seriously, right? And Vishnu, you want to just chime in on how different cup and leagues are in India, and especially form.
Yeah, I think if you look at Indian players, I mentioned that in relation to East Bengal and Nanda. A lot there are. If you analyze an Indian Super League season or an I League season, you will find players who have these bursts of form that last over 3 or 4 matches. The problem that almost every one of them have is sustaining it over an entire season. So, yeah, I don't think uh, doing well in a cup is a reflection of
Any
what you are going to do in a season. And
FC Goa won the Durand Cup, and obviously caveat is that not a lot of teams took their first teams. They won the Durand Cup and yet finished ninth that
Right,
season.
right.
So
And even last year,
that's
say for that amazing burst of form, look where Bangalore FC would have gone. They would not even have that
yeah,
something ticked right, and they went on this amazing run that would
mad
probably
form.
not be possible 9 out of 10 times, and they
Yeah,
got there. But yeah, at one point they were dead last.
just about, just
Yeah, just
about.
about yes.
Yeah, just about, right? And they had like a crazy Matrazius run season 2 ISL.
Right.
Was yes, season 2, yeah, like crazy run, to just make the final. I know, agree. And I have a feeling that BFC fans may not be happy with us, but guys, this is what it is. You also know that Grayson and gang papered over a lot of cracks.
Right.
Obviously there was a lot of upheaval at the club last year, right? This year at least they seem to be more stable, and that run obviously clearly saved Grayson's. It saved his job also, right? So important question: do you think Thapa, Sahil, Hugo midfield gonna work? SK, this has been playing on my mind also, because I mean, Tapa's been asked to play a more a forced role than what he would naturally do. And we saw that in the final. And I'm sorry, those were two terrible tackles. I mean, that last tackle was a red on its own, right? I think the referee did him a favor and pulled him out of his misery because those were just two terrible tackles, guys. So, 100% deserved red. And I mean, ATK Mohan Bagan Super Giants' best form has come when they played with Destroyer, right? Uh, they don't have a they don't have a Carl McHugh, right? So who's going to be that, right? Who's going to play that? Think I think I think that this midfield might be missing a piece or two. Thapa, Sahil, Hugo. Again, Vishy, just wanted to know
No, I
from you
think
as well.
so. Basically, again, memory is a bit foggy here, but this is one role that Tapa has carried out for the national team, kind of playing behind
Huh.
the main
Huh.
midfield row, and then
But you always had a Jackson size
yes, that,
comfort
that is
blanket
that is
all
what I was
around him.
going to say. So you had that one
Uh,
presence alongside him, but then for
uh.
MB Mohan Bagan, who's that going to be? That's the question.
Sal's not
Sahal's not that player.
Sal's
100% he's not that player.
not fair.
So yeah, as you said, that this is a if at all this is the midfield they go with. This is a midfield that has the potential is there that it is going to be picked apart by smart coaches like maybe Des or Manolo.
For
Yeah,
sure. For sure. And what I saw was very interesting. I saw Hugo dropping deepest at times to act as the ball carrier, essentially to do a Jahu role. And I mean, the evolution of Hugo Boom is very beautiful in Indian football. A guy who once played winger, sometimes played as a striker, then started playing behind the striker. Now I mean, obviously, I'm saying Hugo is a great addition to Indian football. Can't imagine the ISL without him. But like I said, very interestingly, I saw Hugo sometimes dropping deep to get the ball, right? So that's Juan's plan, essentially to have a very modern six and not a very a throwback six, right? When we speak about when we speak about Jigsaw and Rowling, they're more traditional sixes, right? They're not ball carriers; they are more destroyers, right? Like, I'm gonna come, Mehtab Hussain. I'm just gonna come, just gonna take your legs away, just gonna make sure you don't bypass the midfield. That's it, right? So can Hugo do it? Yeah, Kumar Reddy agree. Jay Gupta left back, lot of potential. But like I said, let's hold our horses. It's just the Durand Cup,
Exactly.
right? I mean, yeah, Mo Nemil has been performing Durand Cup for last 3 years. Like, what's happened in the league, right? Important
I
question,
think
right?
that
Uh,
everybody was talking about Kerala Blasters, that kid, one of the twins, Ayman, if I'm not wrong. And
I'm in.
yeah, so a lot of people are getting excited about him, and there's nothing wrong in getting excited about him. But then he was doing pretty much the same thing in the last Durand Cup also, so that's one thing to be kept
Yeah.
in mind.
Hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, it's very interesting to note that Durand, the good part Durand is you see a lot of youngsters, right? Odisha just signed a youngster that performed really well, right? And as for Manolo Marquez saying his eyes on Indian national team, I don't know, but it's great news for Goa because they have gems like Jay Ayush, who he's going to work on, right? Who is going to work on, right? It's just that uh, I also today at their reserves game in the Goa Pro League, he was the one giving out the prizes. So he's gone there. He's taken a look at a couple of people there, and he's like, oh, this guy or maybe that guy. So and if I know the gang there and the gang are good friends, they always have gems in waiting to burst through. You have Bryson who's already burst through, right? So you have this wonderful kid called Jovial. Let's see. I want to see if Manolo can repeat the Hyderabad trick. Because to be honest, Manolo made the careers of few players at Hyderabad. I'm not
100%.
going to exaggerate. I'm not going to exaggerate, guys. He actually did it, right? Those players today don't have a national team career without Manolo. And because they have a national team career, they have these crores worth of ISL contracts. Manolo made their lives, guys. So, and that's the reason people trust the Manolo Marquezes of this world over coaches who say do 5 laps, all of that
You mean to say
nonsense.
the Constantines of this world?
And I'm not into a constant. I'm talking about the Indian
Okay.
Constantines here. I'm talking about right. Freddie from Punjab to Kerala. Like I said, Kumar Reddy, good player, I League, but the gap between I League and ISL is increasing all the time, right? So it's no longer guaranteed somebody's doing really well in I League, he'll come and have a half distance in ISL. No, the technical quality is actually like the I League is in fact becoming a reserve league, so as to say, really fast, right? So one question from your state, Vishnu. What's your opinion that Kerala FA new president comes from corporate world? And before anyone says anything, I'm just going to say this: the guy who's pulling the strings is still the guy pulling the strings. There's really no difference there. So Vishnu, over to you.
Yeah, and again, I don't think that means anything because I mean, see, he's a businessman. Nawaz Miran, he's a businessman, and now the businessmen are referred to as coming from the corporate world. I mean, it's always been businessmen running, the same businessman
Running
running, to be
football.
honest. And you could say in the like KMI Mehtar was somebody who came from a corporate world only, but then what in the sense he came from a corporate world, he came from a politics world, he came from all the worlds, but what happened to Kerala football? Very little. And
Hmm.
so yeah, I don't think there's too much to be read into it because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, as Arka said, the people pulling the strings are the people, same people, nothing's changed. Um, So yeah, I mean, see, Kerala has always been one of those regions with a tremendous interest in football and tremendous potential. Such talented footballers that you get there.
Hmm.
So it's up to, let's see. I mean, in Indian football, I think the best we can hope for, at least at this point of time, this has been the case for the last 20 years, are happy accidents, and that's all we can hope for. Like one happy accident to happen in Kerala, and the next couple of exciting players to come out of that. But beyond that, what they're doing, whether the new president has some sort of a revolutionary plan that will change Kerala football, I don't think so. Whether he's going to put loads of his own money into Kerala football, no, I don't think so. So I mean, the people running Kerala football has never been short of money. Only Kerala football has been short of money. So I don't think that is going to
Mhm.
change.
I mean, he already has on paper. He's committed 350 CR over 12 years because essentially, it's on
Right.
paper. Yeah, I agree. It's on paper. Uh, so for people who don't know, Scoreline Sports did win that bid, guys, to become essentially the FSDL
Kerala.
of Kerala, and 350 CR, and there's talks of Kerala Super League and all of that, but we're still waiting. The guy who started the project have already moved on,
Exactly.
right? And the CEOs of they've already moved on and bought clubs also. So, uh, I mean, all in all, jokes apart, I mean, credit to Nawaz Miran. Like when he sold Eastern, right? He made quite a few bucks from it,
1,500
right?
crores, if I'm not
He
wrong.
could, yeah, he could have chosen to, like, put it somewhere else. He could have chosen to
He
invest
has
it.
put it in a lot of places, actually.
Places.
He has. It's not that he has not. He has actually put it in a lot of places.
Correct. But he's kind of then wished this money away, right? He's kind of said, okay, let me, because listen, I mean, I don't see Indian football making a return for anybody anytime soon, right? So,
If you,
and
I'd like to remind you there that this is the season when Indian Super League was supposed to make returns for people. If you remember, when they first started, it was, let's see, in 10
10
years. This
years,
is the
10
10
years,
years, and nobody's making any
yeah.
more money out of it. So
If you send that article to owners, I'm sure you're going to receive a stinker for
I remember a
that.
lot of
Right?
people,
And
a lot of the owners I interviewed initially, they were all sticking to this 10-year plan. Let's see in 10 years. And we are there.
yeah,
And
let's
I don't really think
we're there.
anybody's,
And
anything has changed. If anything, they're spending more money than what they did in the
yeah,
first or second season.
they are there's some artificial amount of injection that's trying to happen. See, I mean, we can value the TV broadcast at whatever money we want to, right? We can, right? And we can try to get sponsorships also, trying to match that value. But when your pro Kabaddi itself is valued at 180 CR, right? And when you're saying no, ISL rights are worth 550 CR, right? Everyone's favorite social media manager is saying, "Oh, Indian football has to grow to 500 CR," and like during our journal days, he's just being a quotomatic again. He's just giving empty quotes, right? So, does Indian football have that intrinsic value? It doesn't, right? It's not at that stage, guys. Pro Kabaddi is worth 180 CR. Please check, please check the number on the top right of your screen between PKL and ISL. Then I spoke to somebody from Star. I said, okay, listen, dude, I understand Hotstar is just one tiny portion. What about TV? Because most of India still runs on TV, the TV cable, right? He said, if you think that is a mismatch, then the TV is wipe out. In Hindi speaking market, PKL, IPL absolutely smashes football, absolutely thrashes it,
I
right?
heard
So,
when the badminton league was
right.
going on, even that was smashing I league in terms of ISL in terms of numbers. So PKL is not
Not
even a
surprised.
contest. PKL is easily the second most popular league in India after IPL, and
Yeah,
it's probably the viewership numbers are not even close compared to ISL. So
yeah. And there are 12 ISL clubs, including Round Glass Punjab. They're all making between 30 to 40 CR losses every year. And I'm guessing the two big two, our City group and our Goenka group, might be making even more. So in order to cover the losses, right, Indian football needs to have a broadcast value of 500 cr every year, and we are not there, guys. Not many long stretch of the
Or they have
imagination.
to look at how they're valuing players and how they're valuing staff and how they're paying agent and bring the cost down, which is the more realistic option here, which they're not going to do. Like I'm pretty sure Indian clubs can run without making so much of a loss if only they were to value people a bit more realistically.
It is not going to happen when ISL clubs pay the annual budget of an I League club for a midfielder.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to happen, guys. And especially when you look at the graph and you look at somebody making 50,000. I, so when you join a job, Vishy, you get a like a 20% appraisal or a 30% or 40% appraisal, right? Indian football is the only place where somebody's making 50 grand for a year, and then within 1 year is making 50 lakh because uh guess what? They'll write an article about almost anybody, right? They'll call almost anybody a magician, right? So these magicians become crorepati's overnight. I have no problems against it. It's just that this artificial inflation in Indian football is probably not a great sign. But yeah, great discussion. So let's move on. Right, we 1 year of Indian football. I'm just gonna share my screen, right, and I mean, if not anything, we'll just have a good laugh at it, right? Let me know if you can see my screen, Vishy.
Yeah, I can.
A momentous voyage of 365 days. Even Titanic had a momentous voyage of 4 days. Just, just right. Three trophies and unbeaten home run for senior MNT. And Vishnu, I'm pretty sure you've seen this
Yeah,
graphic, right? And yeah, it reminds me of that Obama meme where Obama's putting
medal
the
on
medal on
Obama.
Obama.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you make of hashtag Kalji's first year?
I mean, I was just laughing reading the last point, setting up a full-fledged technical department in football. As I mean, so I was like thinking, wait, what? So Indian football was running without one for all these years. That was quite a shocker to me. But
Oh
yeah, I
shit.
mean, I don't know. I mean, they've basically listed everything that they've done, but a lot of the things on the list we would perceive as not being that successful. Obviously, like they've listed the.
We've already seen we've already seen some of these things. Launching of Elite
I
Youth
mean, they've
League.
listed the
They
Santosh
rename.
Trophy thing on there, and we know how that went. So, uh,
Wow.
so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, has anything really changed in Indian football? I don't think. Obviously,
Hmm.
nothing has changed. But
Yeah.
uh, if you want to see the silver lining, if you want to pick one good thing
Yeah.
that personally I like that is happening in Indian football, that is that this talk. I don't know where the talk is going to lead to, obviously, but this talk around the department league, which a lot
Huh.
of people over the years, the previous regime, you could
Hmm.
argue, even killed department clubs very actively. Now
Hmm. Hmm.
these people are at a point of time, these department teams were the reason a lot of people took up football because they had the
Yeah.
option of a job, they had the option of going into there, and so
Hmm.
that is one good thing that is happening right now. But again, as I said, they've listed out pretty much everything that they've done. It's a bit unfortunate that everything that they've done fits into like over 1 year fits into one page, and all not a lot of these things are not exactly what I'd list on the list if it were up to me.
They went exactly new also. MOUs have been signed
Exactly.
before.
Yes. Like for example, the task force for PIO and also
PIOs footballs,
that
yeah.
means nothing. I mean, what you can formulate all the task forces that you want, but unless at the end of the day, unless the government changes the rules or the people are willing to give up their citizenship, nothing is going to happen. I mean, you can keep all the lists you want, but will that lead to any tangible change? No, or is it just a PR gimmick? Probably the latter. So,
Yeah.
launching of
Yeah.
elite youth leagues. How many times have elite youth leagues been launched
Been
in India?
launched, yeah, yeah. And honestly, Vishnu, it just feels like at this point it's a bit of a social media sarkar, right?
Exactly, exactly.
People are clamoring PIO OCI. Having worked at the lowest level, I can assure you guys the problems are much deeper than just getting PIOCA. There are task force to be formulated, but not for PIOCA. There are hundreds of problems that need addressing before PIO and OCI, right? And so what they're doing is, unlike the previous regime, and I have to create the previous regime here. And listen, Vishnu, you and me have both criticized the previous regime. We've had the same amount of scrutiny for them as we have for these guys. But one thing which I want, they won't succumb to public pressure on a point where they knew that this was kind of pointless pursuing this. PI and OCI, we both know, and everybody who's somebody in Indian football who knows their stuff, right? They know it's a pointless exercise. Yeah,
100%. You can, as I said, this is not something that is just about football. This is,
or
you're
sport,
trying to
or sport,
overturn the
or
national
sport,
sports code. You're trying to overturn Supreme Court verdicts.
the
And
national
even if,
citizenship code, the
what was
national
that?
ci- the national citizenship code. You are trying
Exactly,
to,
exactly.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is basically you'll have to go through a lot of things which will be challenged legally by people at every stage. It's such a complex thing that even if the government tomorrow says, yeah, we are revising the sports code, and all these people can complain, because see, the reason, the if you go back to why PIOs and OCIs are not eligible to represent India. This goes back to a state where people were filing legal challenges against OCI players coming to India. Uh, uh,
Hmm.
I'm not talking about football or tennis or all these high profile. In the smaller sports, they were representing, going to Indian camps and then using the fact that they went there to gain benefits elsewhere. That now, okay, I'm now a national player, and local players were challenging that. So in a lot of these lesser, I remember one of the things at that time was a guy. Okay, I his name escapes me. This was 2006, 2007 when the whole court case was going on. This was in equestrian. This guy
Hmm.
is an American.
Hmm.
He has very little to do with India, but he claimed that one of his grandparents was Indian. But is it like a proper white guy, not say one of the many British Asian people with
Hmm.
Indian surnames and who looks at
Hmm.
least half Indian, or none proper Texas guy, white guy. He claimed his one of his grandparents were born in India and tried to participate, represent India. At that time, there was no Fawad Mirza. There were all these guys were in there. So this guy actually tried to represent India in the Olympics, and that was when this whole thing came about. And he was actually party to the case that was settled with the ruling that no PIOs and OCIs can't represent India. And you know what
Hmm.
he did? He promptly went and represented Ireland because they had like an open spot there. This
Hmm.
guy is neither Irish nor Indian; he's American. So the thing is, in all these little known sports, a
Hmm.
lot of these guys who have nothing to do with India are going to come and represent India in various events. And what people don't realize is there are tremendous benefits to be that you get if you can call yourself an Olympian or an international player in any
Hmm.
sport. So one of the reasons why this thing was shut was that it was being manipulated left, right, and center. People are only talking about, say,
Hmm.
football and tennis and all these sports. That, but what if, say, a couple of Chinese people come and say, okay, look, we had grandparents who were Indian. We are going to represent India in wushu or sepak takraw or any of these things. How do you check that? Like,
Hmm.
so, as far as it's a big can of worms. Like
Yeah.
last time it was opened, it was a big can of worms.
Hmm.
So, I don't think anybody will be in a hurry to open that once again. Not even this government, they've taken they've opened a lot of can of worms in
Hmm.
many fields, but this is
Um,
one thing even they wouldn't want to touch because it's
no.
a huge mess. So this PIO and OC, I think a lot of people are getting excited. They think Premier League players are suddenly going to play for India and India is going to go to the World Cup. It's not. It's definitely
Oh,
not going to happen.
yeah.
And all you have to do is look at Pakistan's SAF Cup performance to see what happens when Premier League player, Championship players come in. Manchester United, ex-Manchester United players came in. They played for 1 week, then went back to playing in whatever the leagues they were playing in, and they still lost 4-0 to India. So
China.
it's
Ah,
what you need uh, is is the entire footballing ecosystem to grow and mature.
yep.
Not one or two injections can't give you anything that will
Mhm.
benefit you in the long term, even the short term for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And agreed. And like I said, great dissection of it, Vishnu. And like I said, great that you remember the story. And I'm going to stop sharing this now because I mean we made a point, and I'm just going to say again, China went from fifth to fifth, spent $1 bajillion in the middle, and nothing came of it. They went from
exactly.
fifth in their World Cup final round group to fifth in the final round group. They spent so much money on nationalizing, doing everything. Nothing happened, and now clubs are shutting down. Not only has Guangzhou Evergrande gone broke, Evergrande the group has gone broke, and that's no short part due to football because they spent a crazy amount of money on football, right? Marcelo Lippi at one point in time was getting paid 27 million to use the world's highest paid coach, right? What Saudi is doing now, of course, Saudi has crazy amounts of money; they can do it. China obviously has said, "Look, listen, stop this madness." Quickly, we'll just take these questions. Thoughts on Chennai NFC's performance in the Durand Cup, guys. I mean, Husseinovic is going to say this. I think it might be a bit difficult for them this season. Looking at the Durand Cup performance, I think they'll be heavily reliant on their foreigners once again. The Indian contingent, big question mark there. May not be up to a scratch. Yes, there are a couple of people outstanding here and there, but not anything great. Uh, Vishnu Raj says, Napang League has given big rails for Mizoram and Sub Junior boys. Of course, had to be right. It's a bloody baby league, which that's the first foundation block. Instead of having a task force for PR and OCA footballs, have a fucking task force for, apologies for language, have a task force for baby leagues, guys. Have a task force to figure out how you can get kids under the age of 12 to play as many minutes starting from the age of 3, 4, right? Tom Bayer, our friend, did a study during the World Cup of the like 12 big players in the World Cup, right? Not just Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar. He did Lewandowski. He did all of the big. And one thing he found, one thing in common, they all started at 3, right? Di Maria moved for a bag of footballs when he was 7, right? So, I mean, these stories we repeat so many times on injury time. It's just become so boring for us, right? But one thing I'm going to say, one thing I disagree with Vishnu Raj is that when you have limited resources like Indian football, right? You're doing it in 4 parts of Mizoram. Why not exhaust Mizoram first before going to the other places, right? You have a nursery. When you have limited resources, you don't spread it around. That's actually counterintuitive, right? The last regime also pulled fans into saying, "Oh, we are getting things from UP, MP." Guys, simple logic, right? If Mizoram is 20 years behind the Asian elite, that's Japan. These other states are 20 years behind Mizoram, right? So would you try and first reach that level, or would you try and broad base the game? I'm all for broad basing the game, right? But at, at what cost is it does make sense, right? Vishnu, you want to take this one? BFC feels like they're getting kneecapped or start or seem to end in call-ups. Rashid, I know you're a BFC fan, but almost every club fan will say this, right? That we are getting kneecapped. Vishnu, this club versus country is a huge debate this is turned to again. And Manolo, I think, again opened that can of worms again, where he said, why are people registering more players? And fans are just saying, listen, we send players to a national team, right? So for me, it's clear. The problem lies with the planning and the planners.
Yeah, I think, see, if the AFF is that serious about the Asian Games, then they should force the partners to push back the dates of the ISL start so that players this issue does not arise. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, these are not deal breakers. These are not things that can't be
Mm.
solved by the people who are sitting and planning
Mm.
how things in Indian football are going to work out. It's just poor planning for me.
Yeah, it's just very poor planning, and especially add to the mix your Asian under 23 qualifiers also, right? So I mean, it's I'm what were you waiting for, right? When we were making all of this noise, were you checking social media to see how many things you got, or were you should you have planned at that point of time, right?
Probably
Because you
compiling that list you just put up.
yeah probably yeah. Oh my god, I mean, I can't say when I tell my friends outside, right, that we don't have a fixed calendar, right, that we I can't tell you where that event will happen in that same window year on year. They first think I'm joking, then they have the look of exasperation, then finally they laugh, right? That I get that reaction in that order, right? Sorry, Vishnu, you were saying something.
No, I mean it's the same. It's just I don't know. I mean, these things are not new things, right? This is the same every time there is everybody knows that the Asian Cup is going to be held on so and so, and this is there. So why
Mhm.
can't you plan 1 year in advance in a way that the coach gets what he wants and the teams don't lose out on players?
Mhm.
It's not that hard. I mean, come
Mhm.
on, FIFA managed to hold a World Cup in the middle of October, so and you
Yeah.
can't do this. You can't get squeezed 1 or 2 weeks out of a. So I don't know. All this is basically people are this kind of attitude that we will
Mhm.
solve the problems when they stare us in our face. That has been the case with Indian football for so many years.
Yeah, you knew about the Asian Games well in
Well in
advance,
advance.
well in
Like
advance, right?
yeah.
And guys, it's your top tier, if it is at all your top tier league at all, right? Just speak, just talk, just have the conversation. It just feels like you don't have a conversation. Or do you have information about FC Goa? Red Bull acquiring FC Goa was never on the table, guys. Just FY, it was never on the table. FC Goa Academy construction, they're putting parts together like two pitches. That's the only way they can do because it's such a huge investment and because they're already losing how much? You just spoke of 50 CR. It can't happen in one shot, right? The estimated budget for the academy is close to 120 CR, like including the school and the campus and everything put together, right? Unless you're a Girish Mathrubootham and Freshworks who minted money and you're setting up 100 CR academy there, but then again you chose like the worst of guys to run it again, right? Guys, it's kind of unrealistic to expect that they put that much money, right? Any update on youth league? uh Basim, you know as much as I do, right? They put it on that list. They put it on that list, but that's about it, right? Worst organized hero IWL campaign ever. Yeah, I mean, feedback, according to feedback from the teams, it was it was a hellhole. I'm not going to joke, and I am so happy and proud that finally there are a couple of ISL teams speaking out. They spoke out about the IWL campaign. They said they came on record. They spoke out, right? And Odisha and Goa have always been front runners in that aspect. At least speaking out aspect. Listen, guys, you can only change the system if the club starts speaking out. We can't always speak out on behalf of the clubs, right? At some point they have to take a stance, right? And their refusal to take public stances is what has led to many of the problems over. They resembles a student stat padding their CV. Absolutely, not just student, anybody stat padding their CV, right? Uh, so yeah, to be fair, Vishnu, I think this is a comeback to you saying
No,
that
I
Pakistan.
completely agree. They
I
had
agree.
to face a last minute, but then this is not the first Pakistani team with PIOs. Pakistani team always had lots of PIOs. This is, and it's never worked for them. If you look at, I think, to
Hmm.
2008, 2009, they had Premier League players in the Pakistan team. They had this guy, Sesh Rahman, who used to play for Fulham, and he used to play for the Pakistan
Yeah.
team at the same time. And they did not even win a SAF Cup with that. So yeah, so
Yeah.
it's not like this is
Huh.
the first example of Pakistanis experimenting with PIOs. That's
Yeah.
always been their forte. They've always had overseas players, and it's It's never worked. It's just that this is the first time they've had more PIO players than domestic players. That is a first, but uh,
Yeah,
they've had all these kind of names. As I said, Zesh Rahman, if I'm not wrong, he played for Pakistan for almost 6 7 years, and what happened? Nothing happened.
yeah,
So if you think one Premier League player is going to come in and get India to the World Cup, it does not work that way. It's never worked like that way for
yeah.
anyone. Yeah,
Anyone?
and people
No,
see, people look at countries like Morocco and all. Yeah, the thing is, Morocco, the Dutch and the for like I think Dutch and the Belgians, I think they come in and they complement the players that are already there. The players that are the Moroccan players who are born and bred in Morocco. They have great quality. It's not like these guys are the one who are doing all the playing. So, but
Hmm,
if the gulf in quality between two sets of players is so huge, then the team is not going to work as a team. This is not tennis, or this is a team sport. So teams have to gel, and
hmm,
it's the. I mean, I'm sure it's not that hard to imagine why this won't work out. And there's plenty of evidence
hmm.
from multiple countries in Asia where this has not worked out. So
Huh. No, no, for sure, and like I said, this one thing can change. Change one player can change whole country's fortunes. I mean,
it's
it's
not
it's
doesn't
it's
work
it's
that way.
it's a very it's yeah, yeah. Uh, Akib Khan, we did not say that Evergrande group. We're just saying that they spent a crazy amount of football, which is true, right? And nobody else should do this amount of craziness also, right? With their yeah. So I mean we've discussed pretty much everything, but we're leaving you with a thought, right? And when people say, oh, Indian football's doing this, doing that, um just take a look at this picture, guys, and just Vishnu, take a look at these fresh faced quote under 16 team, right? And the next time you want to talk about where we're headed and what we're doing, just remember, some things never change, right? So I'm going to leave you with on that cryptic note. Vishnu, you want to add something here, or do you not want to risk adding anything here?
I mean, I don't think there's anything left to say in the sense everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
This has been again. That's the thing. That's why when people say, "Okay, 1 year of the new year, what has changed?" 2010, if you got to somebody who was there covering Indian football, a lot of the issues we have now are still issues back then. 10 years, nobody's done anything. And in 1 year, nobody's done anything. So these are things
Mm.
that are not symptoms. Like in the sense, these are not things. These are things that are wrong with the very structure. So unless you
Uh,
change that, and it's like basically you have a tumor inside that manifests itself as a fever, and you try treating that fever, it's not going to work. You have to go get the tumor and work on that. So that's what's going on in Indian football right now. A lot of the issues that are wrong, a lot of things that are wrong with Indian football are structural issues, like what that picture that Arga just put up. We don't need to say anything. You know what structural issue is wrong there, and unless people
they,
seriously
they
put their
say
head down and try to solve it, it's going to still be a problem.
they say a picture speaks 1,000 words. I think that speaks 1,000,000 words. That picture, and I mean, I mean, we can say a lot of things. We said, oh, we're beating Real Madrid and Barcelona, and all of that
I
is
mean,
great.
4 or 5 years
All first,
we had that Gaurav problem coming on, and that created a huge furor at that time, and that lasted for 2 weeks. And what happened after that? Things just went back to the way it was. And
and I'm also sorry to say this: the club that created the most furor is a serial offender itself, right? They've been pulled up 3 times, guys, and I know a lot of people from they're watching the show. They've been pulled up 3 times officially. Officially, they've been pulled up 3 times and been given bans in those age groups. So let's not pretend like anything's going to change overnight. They're going to take time, right? We'll see if the the decisions are being based on sentiment, right, or they're being based on rationale, right? Social media sentiment is one thing, but to base it on rationale is completely different, right? And as far as I know, all of those guys have either quit the federation or left the sport completely, right? So yeah. uh and Roshan ji ke, yes, it cannot get much worse. Yes, we manufactured FIFA ban and all of this, and there are audio clips of old regime and new regime colluding also. Like, I mean, a lot of missing, right? So I'm not going to pretend, right? But I'm just going to say this: there are people trying to bring out the truth. We know that one state of a guy is very vocal, and we know that not all of it is like hot air, because I mean, when 10 people say something, you have to get to the bottom of it. But we know it's not going to happen. We also know that there was a sacking that was reversed overnight, right? But I mean, these things, as when these things change, maybe there is hope for Indian football. And that's it from me tonight. Vishu, uh, thanks so much for being on the
Always
show,
great,
right?
man. It's
Thanks for
always
coming back
great.
to be on injury time, yeah. And like I said, we need you back more often, and especially with Sandeep being a busy married man now.
He's a busy sick
We
man these
need
days, so it's not.
uh,
His health is
uh,
not too good, so yeah.
love sickness probably, but ठीक है. We'll wait. Sandeep and Abhi, if you're watching this, we need you. Naveen, we're doing fine without you. Thanks for asking. Like, I'm kidding, guys. We miss Naveen also. And I'm sorry we haven't been regular. Actually, everyone's been going through a bit of a personal crisis. Uh, but we'll try to become more regular, guys. And thanks for tuning in. Get us to 1,000 subscribers, guys. We need that from you guys. And as usual, we are the only no faff show, right? I know there are a lot of YouTubers, and and we could have very easily come and just said Jai Hind for 1 hour straight, and I know we could have got the views, but we owe you guys something for tuning in, at least the 22 of you. Thank you, thanks, guys. And we might have new guests soon coming on the pod. We'll let you know. And that's it from me. Good night.
Good night.